This is Politics with Lucifari Vera. Man, we have a lot to cover today. So much has been going on, hasn't it? I mean, more than one could imagine. You know, when you try to do an episode and you get so mind boggled about what to even do an episode on, to where it becomes tiresome, to where you don't even get an episode done. So you know what? Today I decided I'm just going to start addressing it all. Because the POTUS is a madman. And today we are going to talk about how he has completely stacked the deck against us all and has stolen our democracy. So change is going to have to come. And I believe it's going to come in a big way. I'll be with y'all shortly.
It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast.
Yeah. I want to give the man one of those sarcastic Nancy Pelosi applause too. Like, good job, POTUS. Man, what a country. What a United States of America we have become. Is it even the United States of America anymore? Or is it like one of those third world countries where you have these different groups that just are against each other and on the brink of civil wars and violence escalating everywhere? I'm just not sure anymore. I don't know if we're still the United States of America. I know we're still America because we happen to sit on the continent. But wow, how did we let one unethical, indignant, narcissistic, bend every rule to the fullest, trash talking, and trash talking to the wrong shit, and lead with fear mongering in a president probably in the last 100 years, if not from the beginning for a lot of us. But I'm talking, us. But this shit has gone crazy. And every time I sit down to do This Is Politics, I get so exhausted that I end up not even having an episode, and I just go on and do something else. This shit's crazy. But today I said I'm sick of this shit. I'm just going to go ahead and address as much as I can and show y'all how this country has rewound the clock. You know, when Trump first ran for office and everybody took his slogan, "Make America Great Again," and there was all those videos on YouTube and all that Jim Crow shit coming back, and how they were twisting his words to make it seem like the same things that they were saying back in those days. They weren't twisting shit. You know, luckily his boy Charlie Kirk ain't around no more. But he was just going around the country and just promoting white supremacy like I've never seen before. And so proudly and honored by so many to where they didn't even try to hide it. And he was being followed by so many, and it was just insane that this GOP party has become these white supremacists. But we're going to start off here with a few topics. And we're going to go through a few things said, a few things currently happening, and what I believe the movement is going to be moving forward, because it's our only hope. It is our only hope. First and foremost, now this year, the Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship, which is too bad for our country. But we can easily make it up in Congress through legislation with the support of the president that has now been determined during this process. No long and unwidely constitutional amendment is necessary. Congress should start today to work on ending expensive and unfair to our country birthright citizenship. They will have my complete and total support. Donald J. Trump. What the fuck are you talking about? People born in the United States that is the most basic citizenship that exists. And there is no way to target anyone through legislation. Because if there was any legislation or amendment passed that was against birthright citizenship, well, who the hell chooses who's a citizen? Because you can say that you're talking about illegals or foreigners coming to the country and having their children here just so they're citizens. You can say that's your agenda. But once you get laws and legislations or an amendment that does away with birthright citizenship, you're picking and choosing who is a citizen of this country, of people born on this soil. What the hell is the matter with you? These aren't these aren't border jumpers. These aren't migrants. These are people coming out of the womb on this soil. And you're going to say it's too bad for our country that the Supreme Court upheld the most basic right in the fucking world. A right doesn't get no more basic. You're born here, you're a citizen. Yo, this is a madman. He has lost his marbles. And to make it even worse, he doesn't mind showing you just how much he has lost his marbles. Birthright citizenship. That had to go to the Supreme Court. That is what our Supreme Court had to waste their time on whether or not if you're born on this soil, you're a citizen. Get the fuck out of here. I can't do that. What else we got here? Oh, God. Let's not get started on, do you think people appreciate what a fantastic job we did in building and operating the Great American State Fair? I'm going to get back to that. At the National Mall, packed with happy people and everybody loving it. Ask yourself this simple question. Do you think that Obama, spelled his name wrong, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, or Sleepy Joe Biden could have done it? The answer is no. Lost marbles. First of all, let's address this oxymoron. Great American State Fair at the National Mall. Does he understand that Washington, D.C. is not a state? It is just simply an American fair. You can't put state in there. That's not a state fair. And then, what fair? Now, we've all been to state fairs. There's some awesome shit. I mean, the Ohio State Fair is just unbelievable to me. I loved it. But do you know how mad I would be, let alone my kids I would bring along, to not a state fair, the American fair, and all you got is a damn Ferris wheel. The kids would be like, are we there yet? Come on, man. A Ferris wheel? I mean, what are y'all doing at this American fair? Beanbag racing? Duck, duck, goose? I mean, what in the hell is going on at this state fair that got just, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't believe the man had me say, at this American fair that only got a Ferris wheel. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a Ferris wheel. I love a great big old Ferris wheel, get to the top and see everything. I love that shit. But that's like when you kind of tired yourself out at the amusement park or at the fair, wherever you're at, and you're like, man, let's go hit the Ferris wheel, man. Just chill for a minute. Leave it to Donald Trump to make that the only ride. Now, the turnout was horrible. The turnout was horrible from my understandings. For what it should have been, the numbers was just ridiculous. Let me get some of this. I'm sorry y'all got to hear that buzz, man. It is so hot. I got to keep fluids in me. I got to let that air conditioner run. I'm sorry. That's why I got the little piano playing, just to try to cover it up some, but you're going to hear the air conditioning buzz. I can't sit up in here. I usually turn that off for my podcast, so I don't have that buzz in the show. But even with that AC on, it's 79 degrees in here. I turn it off for 2 minutes, it'll be 85. Now, Barack Obama did something. Something that brought in thousands of people. So exciting, so much more exciting than the big Ferris wheel. What could be more exciting than the Great American Fair that Barack Obama drew a big old crowd? What did he do? So entertaining. He opened a library. Stop playing with me. An estimated 6,300 people attended the opening ceremony and dedication of the Obama Presidential Center in Southside Chicago. Now imagine if this was done in D.C. 6,300 people decided to risk a stray bullet to the dome to come see the opening of Barack Obama's library. This figure includes the VIPs and guests inside the plaza, alongside thousands more who gathered at the community watch party at nearby Midway Plaisance Park. So, if Barack Obama threw a Great American Fair, oh my God. First of all, it's going to be off the hook. I promise you that. It ain't going to be no damn Ferris wheel. There'll be one there, but that ain't all that's going to be there. You going to have live music. You going to have, I mean, come on, man. You going to have car shows. You going to have rides out the ass. You going to have kids playing. You going to have people, I mean, come on. You going to go there. You going to be able to get your hair did. I mean, it's going to be off the hook. It is going to be a multicultural Great American Fair if Barack Obama threw one of those down. And we talking about hundreds of thousands of people coming. That's my prediction. They're already predicting hundreds of thousands to visit this library. But I ask myself sometime, what is Donald Trump's obsession with feeling like he's doing something better than Barack Obama? I believe, because even though Barack Obama had policies, some that I did not agree with, you ain't doing shit as good as Barack. And I believe that's where the narcissistic personality comes in, to where he has to feel like he's better than Barack Obama. Everything he does is better than Barack Obama. When it gets down to the get down, There hasn't been no president like Barack Hussein Obama. Talk to me. Now, I'm sure the Proud Boys that we're going to be covering a little later may have something different to say about that. But Barack Obama upheld that Constitution with dignity. That White House with dignity. The position of the President of the United States with dignity. He connected with his contemporaries, which is the people of the United States, like no other. He always reached for bipartisanship. He didn't just give executive orders if he knew they would end up at the Supreme Court. He understood checks and balances. He understood the way America worked. He was a brilliant man. He was presidential. He was a leader of men. Not yes men. Not men that's afraid of him. Men that want to follow him because of his greatness. That's your obsession with President Barack Obama. And I mean that shit. I mean that shit. This one here just tickles me to death. The United States spends more money on NATO than any other country by far to protect them without getting any benefit from doing so. It should be from doing so, but he put from so doing. U.S. $999 billion. The UK, $90.5 billion. France, $66.5 billion. Italy, $48.8 billion. Poland, $44.3 billion. Others, including Germany and Munich, even lower. From 2014 to 2025. Well, let's take a brief look at NATO. First of all, does he not understand that you're the big dog in the room, man? You are going to have the highest contribution because the other countries aren't able to contribute what you're able to contribute, which is why they joined forces with you. And you are the superpower. But let's take another look at this. The United States, GDP, $32 trillion. The United Kingdom, $4.2 trillion. Big jump. And they contributed $90.5 billion. France, $3.6 trillion GDP. And they contributed $66.5 billion. Italy, $2.7 trillion GDP. And they contributed $48.8 billion. Poland, $1.1 trillion GDP. And they've contributed $44.3 billion. Germany, $5 trillion, $5.5 trillion GDP. And I don't even know how much money Munich got. Let me see if I can find them on the chart. No, but I can tell you now, they're not even in the trillions. They're down in the billions. So what do you want from them? You want them to cut their arms off for you? What is your beef with NATO? They live over there in Europe, man. You know, after World War II, everyone had a fright of the Soviet Union and its ability to expand. And after the war with Germany, who was the most powerful army, had the fastest airplanes, fastest air force, that it took the world to defeat. That left Russia or the Soviet Union over there and there was fears because they were communists. Which, if I'm not mistaken, the Treaty of Brussels was the treaty against the Soviet threat at the start of the Cold War. And it was signed by the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and the UK. And this was basically pre-NATO. It sounded like I said prenatal. Pre-NATO. Okay? And then you had the Western Defense Organization. But even that organization, they were too weak militarily to counter the Soviets or to fight the Soviets' armed forces. And so the British said the best way to prevent, because they all seen what happened to Czechoslovakia, where they didn't want that to happen to them. Okay? And the best way to prevent that from happening and to kind of equalize the power of the Soviets was to have the United States, who at the time was just really frightened over Italy. Let's keep it 100. After World War II, we were frightened by Italy because they still stood strong and they were a communist party. So with all of these pre-organizations getting together after World War II, they all decided to become NATO. That is a short way of why NATO is NATO. But why Trump hates or has this disdain for NATO is because of, from the very beginning in his first term, was the money. I feel when Donald Trump became the president of the United States, he thought the United States money was his money. Now I'm in charge of the United States money, is mine. And I don't like how much money I'm spending compared to how much you're spending. And then all the deals we had and the trading we had where these smaller countries that were part of NATO were getting a 1% oil tax on oil that was getting shipped to us. Donald Trump just, how dare you charge us $1 more than what you're paying? Because they were buying the oil from Russia, putting their $1 or 1% on there, selling to us, and Donald Trump was like, nah, that's not fair to the American taxpayers. And it just escalated and escalated up until now with his illegal war with Iran, that he just does not like NATO. But there is good news to that. NATO will outlive Donald Trump. We're not going to lose our allies to this madman. They may fall back and let him finish his couple years. But what more that I'm going to be bringing to you, how much far back do we want NATO to sit right now? because I'm really just addressing the silly shit right now. This episode is going to get a lot more interesting. This fucking guy. Free Tina. Oh my God. Became the rallying cry of the Republican Party over the past 2 years. Tina Peters just came to the White House to thank me for getting her released from prison in Colorado. She was put there because she found election fraud. But instead of arresting the people that committed the fraud, they arrested her. They gave her 9 years in jail, and she served 2. Much time in solitary confinement, along with hardened criminals and murderers. And then I got the Republican Party into gear, and she was released. You see, Trump got to take credit for everything, even though he cannot get a state prisoner pardoned. You know, if he did anything, if I'm not mistaken, he withheld federal funds from the Colorado governor until he pressured him into releasing her. I think that might be what happened. But we're going to get into Tina anyway. Tina is 70 years old. Suffered a major bout with cancer, but hopefully is now cancer-free. What she went through should never happen to anyone again. Just think of it. She caught the Democrats cheating, and they put her in jail for voter fraud. They didn't want her out there speaking to the media. She knows that the voting machines are rigged, that the mail-in ballots are a disaster, and that our elections are very dangerous and corrupt at a time when, with the threat of communism, you're the only threat to communism. We must be very wise and careful. It was an honor to have lunch with her. I was fortunate. My vote in 2024 was too big to rig, but they tried. There wasn't a thing they could do about it, but not everyone is in that position. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. Okay. Tina was not put in prison for being a whistleblower of voter fraud. Now, I want to be clear here, okay? Because this and on another topic, we're going to kind of tread waters with my views and what I'm reporting here. I do believe there was funny business in the 2020 election. I do. But that's not what Tina did. Tina was the county clerk of Mesa County in Colorado. And she served up until she was fired by, I believe, the governor or the Secretary of State, one or the other. Secretary of State, he's who handles that shit. She was suspended and was convicted of criminal charges. And the charges were related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election of Joe Biden. She was convicted on seven charges with election interference and I think she was charged with like influencing public servants, conspiracy to impersonate, violation of her duty, not following the Secretary of State's regulations. There was many charges. In Colorado, they use risk limiting audits procedures. And what that does is that is a computer that ensures the results of paper ballots match the machines, the tabulation machines. It's a system that makes sure the paper ballots and the tabulation machines match. It's an audit that involves a bipartisan group of staff and volunteers select a number of paper ballots and manually check those results against the results issued by the tabulation machines. In the 2020 election, Tina Peters signed off on the risk limiting audit for that county, stating there were no issues or discrepancies with the results of the 2020 election in her county. Now, even though she claimed there was no fraud, she started to go meet with people that were promoting false claims of voter fraud and that the election was illegitimate. After the 2020 election, she started bringing unauthorized people and giving them access to the county's electronic voting machines and allowing them to download and copy the hard drives of these machines. Unauthorized people. That's felonious shit, man. Now, through her whole time being in this position she was in, the area was under surveillance cameras, okay? Everything was under surveillance. Well, in 2021, she ordered that the surveillance cameras that monitor the voting machines in the clerk's office to be turned off. And that they would be reactivated at the next election. It was something like that. Well, somebody blew the whistle on her and gave evidence to the Secretary of State. Well, Peters stated that no law when she got told on for that, she started howling about how there's no laws or election rules that require security cameras or monitoring equipment that has to operate continuously, like all the time. And that they only need to be on for like 30 days before and after an election. And, well, this commissioner, this whistleblower, stated that Tina had never turned off these cameras in the previous 8, 9, 10, or however many elections she overseen. Well, after she ordered these cameras to get turned off, she allowed far right wing Cohen Haynes. She allowed proponents of the QAnon conspiracy theory people to get into the room where these electronic voting machines were and allowed them to copy sensitive information out of these machines that they were not allowed to have. This is what this woman did. It was completely all illegal. This ain't just somebody that said, hey, Trump should have won this county and he didn't. No, she certified she certified that it was all right. It was all after the fact stuff that she did. And she was criminally charged, found guilty, and sentenced to 9 years in prison. But because she was doing it for Donald Trump, well, we all know what happens when you do crimes for Donald Trump. You don't go to jail, especially if it's federal. But he got her out of jail. He put some pressure on old dude. I mean, the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, ended up granting an application for a commutation of her sentence. And by doing that, Donald Trump released federal funds back to the state of Colorado. That is my understanding of the Free Tina chants. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if she got some money coming from that fucking slosh fund. Fucking people. More and more and more. Listen, this is what's going on in America. The biggest and most consequential decision issued by the court, by far, is this Slaughter case. This Slaughter case is really a huge threat to our democracy. In so many ways, it ends it. Which overturned the very famous Humphreys executive rule. This whole concept of power has been fought over for nearly 100 years, going all the way back to FDR, where a large slice of his power was taken away. He fought to regain it, even wanting to pack the court, but was unsuccessful in doing so. This decision gives tremendous additional power back to the presidency where it belongs. It is an honor to be the sitting president who, after all these years, won this very important and hard-fought case. We had other good victories too, and we also had the birthright citizenship loss, which we will work to correct in Congress. But the big slaughter was slaughter. The Republican Party was treated very fairly by the United States Supreme Court. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. You know, it's funny. It's funny how the same people, when they rule against them, are trash or disgusting, or disgrace to democracy, or shouldn't even be judges, go on an hour rant about how fucked up they are. And these same people give them a ruling and, man, they're the best justices in the world. And this man ain't got no marbles, man. He ain't got no marbles in his head. Now, what this slaughter thing gives the president the power to do is fire people of independent companies. Let me say that again. It gives the president the power to fire people of independent companies. They won on a ruling 6-3. And it's just terrible. But it says the Trump versus Slaughter is a landmark June 26 Supreme Court decision that significantly expanded presidential power by ruling that president can fire the heads of independent agencies at will. The 6-3 ruling officially overturned Humphrey executor, a 90-year-old precedent that had previously protected commissioners from being removed without statutory cause. The legal battle stems from March 2025 when President Donald Trump fired Federal Trade Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter, along with Alvaro Bedoya, without cause, arguing her priorities were inconsistent with his administration. Slaughter sued, and although she initially won in the lower court, the Supreme Court ultimately sided with the president, fundamentally altering the independence of regulatory bodies. Now think about what's independent in government. Now that the president can fire who the fuck he wants to fire. He don't like a Supreme Court justice. You can fire him now. He don't like a judge, you can fire him. Prosecutors, these are all independent bodies. Because you can bet your last 2 quarters, Trump is the kind of guy that will stretch what something is supposed to mean. If there's a Supreme Court judge that rules against him and he needs to pack that shit up with conservative judges, he'll fire them liberal judges. And then he'll nominate conservative judges. And then we'll have 9 conservative judges in the Supreme Court. Where's their check and balances there? And then there'll have to be another Supreme Court fight on whether or not he could do that. Is what it looks like. Because there's only one exempt group. What is the exempt group? Let me see. I knew it earlier. I can't think of it now. Here we go. Damn, man, this is crazy. Federal Trade Commission's an independent group. I mean, god damn. Yes. So hell, if he wants to go do some illegal trading and somebody's investigating, he can just go fire him. I still can't find the exempt group. I knew what it was early. Oh, the Federal Reserve. Oh! Imagine that! The Federal Reserve. You ain't firing no Jews. Woo! Hey, you know that, you know the Jews was like, nah, man. Straighten that out. I knew it earlier because when I read that, I was like, yo, they don't play no games, man. They don't play no games. What the fuck? So, yes, that's the only independent group that the president can't go in there and fire whoever's in charge to do what he wanted to do. Hell, he could probably walk into McDonald's and fire the CEO. I don't like this burger, you're fired. That ain't funny. It's not funny. It's scary. It's scary. 2026 is scary year, man. It's been going mad. And we're only halfway fucking through it. This is probably true. Gasoline retailers must get their prices down immediately. They're too high, considering that oil is now $68 a barrel and heading south. The retailers must quickly react to this statement and do what they know is right. Drop your prices for our great American people. There will be no gouging, which is totally illegal. If retailers don't do this, big problems lie ahead. Start targeting around the $2.50 a gallon number. And California should stop charging such heavy taxes on their gasoline. Soon the tax will be higher than the product itself, and the United States will not stand for it, nor will the people of California, who are being abused by these ridiculous taxes and by their own government, President Donald J. Trump. Something good out of a bunch of madness. Gas is coming down. He put that out there. Trust me, you're going to see gas back down $2 and something. I wouldn't be surprised if it's out there like that today. I'm not sure. I haven't been out there. It's too hot. But gas is going back down to $2.50. At $68 a barrel, it's going down. That's some good news in all this madness. Now back to the war. The United States aircraft just struck Iranian missiles and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites for violating the ceasefire agreement, again, which they did not violate. It is very possible that they will never learn. There may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable and will be forced to militarily complete the job that we very successfully started. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. President Donald J. Trump. Nuclear threats again. And there's more nuclear threats being done right now. That ceasefire order was not violated by Iran. It was violated by Israel. Part of that ceasefire agreement was that Israel was to stop bombing Lebanon and Palestinians. No sooner the ceasefire happens, Israel starts dropping bombs on Lebanon. That violated the ceasefire agreement. So, Iran went right back to the Strait and shut it back down. Now, they're talking this out, they're doing whatever. But it's Israel that does not want a ceasefire. You see, you guys got to understand the difference between an Orthodox Jew and these Zionists. I'm going to tell y'all right now, you can say what you want about the Zionists, and you are not being anti-Semitic. The Zionists are these politicians of Israel. They are not your Orthodox Jews. Your Orthodox Jews, a lot of them stand with Palestine. stand with Hezbollah. They do not agree with the Zionists. They do not get down with them. Yes, a lot of them have connections to the land that Israel sits on. But they believe in the teachings of their book that they are to live in exile until the Messiah gives them a land of safety, a land to call their own. That's the real Jews. You know, they cancel people. They took the Honorable Louis Farrakhan off of everything for talking the truth about these Zionists. And he always said, I'm not talking about the real Jews. I'm talking about the Zionists. These evil men, these politicians, these terrorists in the Mideastern regions, like Benjamin Netanyahu. Who is always going to want to have some type of conflict with these areas that surround Israel. He doesn't want a ceasefire. Israel has been bombing over there since they've been there. Why all of a sudden would they want to stop? All Donald Trump did was get us involved in a war that is never going to end. Because Israel won't let it. Why do you think we stayed out of it so long? All the times that we're over there conducting operations, we're not doing that for Israel. We're over there for the petrodollar. But Netanyahu done roped Donald Trump's silly ass up in a never-ending war. Unless he decides to just say, I'm done. The ceasefire needs to be between the United States and Iran. And damn it, if Israel wants to violate it, well, then you have a right to defend yourself against Israel. That's the only way it's going to work. Because Netanyahu and those Zionists are going to continue to hammer on the people of Lebanon and Palestine and the Palestinians. And any other Islamic group that they want to hammer on. It's pathetic. And I'm sick of it. I've been watching it too long. I've been watching this shit since I've been in my teens. I'm the one who told y'all. I remember Ariel Sharon and his issues with Netanyahu when he said he was a nut. 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. Said, but never put that guy in charge. He done got us into something we ain't never getting out of unless Trump just says, I'm done. Say they'll never have a nuclear weapon. They weren't after a nuclear weapon. And who's to know who will ever have a nuclear weapon, if anybody will? Maybe one day everyone will get rid of nuclear weapons. They're fucking stupid. Oh, yeah, he drew a big crowd for a flyover to rally last night. I don't give a fuck about that. There's other shit going on. Janice Lewis George, the communist who is almost certainly going to be elected mayor of Washington, D.C. Now, this is where I'm talking about change coming to the United States, because there needs to be change in the leadership of both of these parties. We need to get these old motherfuckers out of here on both sides. These moderate fucking liberals, these far-right fucking goddamn Proud Boys, and all of them. Revamp the whole system. All these people that we've been calling far left, it looks like they need a shot at it. The Jasmine Crockett's, the AOC's, the Elizabeth Warrens, the Bernie Sanders apostles. Something's got to be done, because these people are just running us ragged and tearing our country apart. People hating each other all the time. But Trump said the communist, who was almost certainly going to be elected mayor of Washington, D.C., oh, she's going to win, has stated that she wants to empty the prisons, make D.C. a sanctuary city, oppose ICE, welcome criminal illegal aliens back into our beloved capital, resist anti-crime crackdowns, defund the police, continue to expand cashless bail, and so many other capital-destroying things. In the end, it will never work out, nor will I let it even have a chance, because I have worked too hard to make Washington, D.C. the envy of the world. Don't nobody envy that place. With almost no crime and a beautification process that has been second to none. I will meet with Janice Lewis George, but must forewarn everyone that Washington, D.C. is again a safe and prestigious community. Many people, including myself, have worked long and hard to get it there, and we will not let it be destroyed by a communist adherent who has no intention to make Washington great again. President Donald J. Trump. Well, you know he's taking everything she's saying completely overboard. But this is what needs to happen. What is safe? Answer me that. What is safe? Safe is not having to fear being hurt by another human being. That's safe. Anywhere in there, doesn't matter what kind of clothes they wear, what kind of haircuts they have, what kind of hats they wear, if they're in a uniform, because just because you got people inside because they feel unsafe by the troops you got marching around doesn't mean they feel safe. I done been in hoods with killers, ruthless criminals. And you know who I feared? The police. So miss me with that beautiful Washington, D.C. shit. I know how communistic Washington, D.C. can be. Everywhere you look, there's someone in uniform telling you where you can walk, step, right, left, and all that shit. Your city ain't safe just because you got an army out there ordering people around. Well, you got a mayor that's going to change that. And guess what? She gets elected. She's going to be there after you're gone. We got other ones talking this change. Alyssa Slotkin. She's also jumping on that wagon. You see, people are saying people are changing up. So they can't be trusted because their positions change. Well, look at when their position changes. You can't blame anybody for changing up position because they're changing because of the bullshit they're witnessing in this country right now. That's not changing up. That's saying, what the fuck's going on here? Oh, she used to vote pro-Israel all the time. Now her stuff is more pro-Palestine. Well, look what Israel's doing. That's when you know somebody's real. When they actually see what's going on and say something's got to be done here. When you see police beating people in the street, law enforcement, it needs changed, defunded. All these gadgets and shit y'all using on people. It takes money to buy that shit. Don't give them the money to buy it. Policemen walking around look more equipped than the soldiers at war. For what? When 99.9% of motherfuckers put their hands out when they said they're under arrest. Come on, man. That's what defund the police means. Quit feeding their egos. We don't need ICE marching the streets. Take your ass to the border. Whole bunch of untrained motherfucking Proud Boys throwing on uniforms, shooting people. Black people. Don't identify them by their religion. You know, I really get tired of what I see every day. I get tired of the people who I see talking it. You know, Alyssa Slotkin was on the Stephen A. Smith show a little bit ago. And all anybody's doing is drilling her on her positions changing. But they're changing for the right reasons. If you're looking at who you should vote for right now, you should want to vote for people who's changing their position. Because there's fucked up shit going on. And as long as there's fucked up shit going on, real people are going to see that it's fucked up. And what they thought they were supporting isn't what they are supporting. So they change. I'm ready to give the far left a chance at this. And I know moderate now, we need to get rid of the Chuck Schumers and the Hakeem Jeffries and, man, fuck them. They ain't doing nothing. Give me Jasmine Crockett. They played that woman. But you know what? She's still young, she's still bigger, and she can still come back with a vengeance. And she's somebody who I genuinely believe cares about the people of this country. Now, I know she don't like no white supremacists. But you get leadership in there that does not support white supremacists, and white supremacists lie their ass down somewhere. I feel bad for their wives, because when they ain't out here causing a bunch of havoc, their poor old ladies gotta get the grunt of their drunken night at the bar and slapped around. You know what I'd like to see? You know what I'd love to see? Some of the most beautifulest transgenders. You know, the ones that you cannot tell. And move into a neighborhood full of all those Proud Boys and shit. Get houses and they ain't got no man. And turn them Proud Boys out. Because that's exactly what would happen. I guarantee it. They gonna be creeping. I'd love to see it, man. Hey, make it happen. Please, LGBTQ, get out there, calm these boys down. Shit, I done seen transgenders that made me turn my head. And I still don't know if they transgender or not. I done seen some transgenders that nah, man. You lying to me. But they are. Go put a bunch of them around all them Proud Boys in those neighborhoods. And say and tone them down a bit. No, this is on that Slaughter case. Okay. That's all the Trump tweets. Now, since we're talking about white supremacy, I want to show you where we at here. There we are. Boom.
It is so hard to sit here and listen to this. That's one reason I watched the majority of this and didn't actually sit in this room, because I'm sure my faces would have told everything that I was thinking.
This my girl, man.
Is there anyone that finds it odd? Well, can we start here? I'm gonna start with the entire panel. Are the Proud Boys a white supremacist organization? Yes or no? Starting with Ms. Wiley.
It is my view they are. It depends on how you define it. I have a book.
Okay, never mind.
It
Next.
depends on how you
It's a
define
yes
it.
or no. Proud
Oh.
Boys, how they define themselves. Are they white supremacists, yes or no?
I have not read a description of how they
Okay,
define
that's
themselves.
fine.
I'm not on their mailing list, I don't know.
So are you only on the mailing list of,
I'm not like the
White
SPLC, I don't
supremacists, or-
fund organizations that I'm in.
oh, it just seemed like you were saying because you haven't received their mail, you only received the mail of white supremacists. But go ahead, last witness.
No, they're not white supremacists.
And you know what? I
You
do
done lost
believe
your
that y'all
mind.
believe that. Let's try another one. Neo-Nazis, Miss Wiley.
Well, yes.
What?
Nazis is in their name. Neo-Nazis, Dr. Swain.
Is the question still about the Proud Boys, or is it about the
Neo-Nazis. We have
Neo-Nazi-
moved on. Neo-Nazis.
neo-Nazis are hate groups? And I have a book, 2002.
Okay, thank you so much.
about
So we're
hate
gonna-
groups
so-
that I suggest that you all read.
I'm reclaiming my
It's a lot-
time. I'm reclaiming my time. Neo-Nazis. Are they white supremacists?
Neo-Nazis, are they white supremacists?
Yes or no?
What's that?
Yes or no?
They're certainly anti-Semitic, which I would join with any member of the Democratic Party. Mr. Nadler earlier was talking about standing up for
Okay,
the Jewish.
reclaiming my time.
Be happy
Next.
to do that.
Yes, they're white supremacists.
Woo, thank God. Jesus Christ, I didn't think we were going to get there. Oh my gosh, let me be clear. Proud Boys are freaking white supremacists. Neo-Nazis are too. And this president, who loves to coddle white supremacists, has decided that they should be given checks. The reasons that I pointed to
Yes.
those particular organizations is because you can go and read, I don't know how many articles, as Dr. Swain wants people to read up. I'm going to be clear. I've read my fair share of books. I do have my fair share of degrees. It is clear that neo-Nazis as well as Proud Boys joined in on January 6th. Yet this slush fund that they keep talking about is specifically to give them money.
Give them
So
money.
how dare this majority sit here and try to lecture this organization about money? Now, we're not talking about tax-paying dollars as we are in that slush fund. But you're telling me that $2 billion in the same country that I'm sure some of y'all would struggle with whether or not the enslavement of black people was good or bad. I'm not even gonna go there and ask y'all the question because y'all struggle with defining that these people were white supremacists. But this country still hasn't thought that reparations made sense for black folk in this country. But at the same time, they've decided that people that are in organizations that are absolutely white supremacy organizations should get our tax dollars because they decided to tear apart or attempt to tear apart our democracy. They are being rewarded. These are people that went through our criminal justice system. When people on that side of the aisle claim that they love law and order, they went through it. They either entered pleas of guilty or they were found guilty. And this president, on day one, his priority was not around racism. It was around doing things like letting them go and now putting money in their pockets. We haven't had one hearing on white supremacy. Yet when we look at things like the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the 9 worshipers who were murdered at the Mother Emanuel AME Church, the 23 people murdered in 2019 during a shooting at Walmart in El Paso, the 10 people murdered during the 2022 shooting at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. All of these were murdered by white supremacists who were empowered by the Republican Party's racist rhetoric and policies. This is the same party that wants to drag us back to the Jim Crow era. Some say that there aren't poll taxes, and I guess it's because they're not listing the amount of money. But when you tell somebody that they've got to go and pay for something, say, like a passport that costs over $100 in order to be able to vote, that looks like a poll tax to me.
Poll tax.
Some of y'all need to read up on your history books, the very same ones that the Republicans have decided that people should not hear about, because you don't want real history taught in our schools because you're afraid that it's going to hurt people's feelings to know that their ancestors were so savage that they would enslave black folk. You don't want them to understand why the 14th Amendment mattered then and it matters today. You don't want them to understand that when they draw these racist lines and tell black folk that they shouldn't have representation in this country, that it is against the Constitution.
Time of the
You want them to be
gentlelady.
ignorant so that they
Time of
can
the-
sit up here and
The
be your
time of the
token for
gentlelady
your
has
mission.
expired.
Jesus. She be letting them have it, man. She be letting them have it. Ah. She belongs somewhere, man. In power. President. Vice President. Speaker of the House. Hell, she only gave up that seat basically because the seat wasn't worth a damn no more. They took all commerce out of it. They removed all industrialization out of it. What could she do for her constituents? You got all this gerrymandering cracking going on right now. So she prematurely ran for the Senate. I can't believe that shit, man. Now that we're on there's two more things that I want to get to. One, is everybody in an uproar over Donald Trump and being enriched while he's in the White House. What Donald Trump is doing is very unethical. But it is not illegal. He's treading the line perfectly. He's got some high-paid lawyers that are treading that line for him perfectly. You know, you got your foreign and domestic emolument clauses, and the foreign one bars any person holding an office, a profit or trust from accepting gifts, payments, or offices from any king, offices from any king, prince, foreign state without the consent of Congress. The goal is to prevent foreign interference or corruption. And the domestic is to stop it from receiving it from states. And then the Foreign Gifts and Decorations Act. This law legally elected positions, including the president, as employees who cannot accept foreign gifts of more than minimum value without congressional authorization. But I can tell you right now, all these gifts and boats and planes and shit that Trump's getting, they giving them shits to Trump. I mean, it seems like every damn country is giving him some multi-billion-dollar fucking something. That shit, it's gifts to the United States, but they're doing that shit for him. He has to borrow a plane, a 747 jet. And who was it? Qatar? Get so you can have it. It's a gift. I want you to have it. State of the art. But Trump has made like $1.6 billion on his crypto coin. Why is that legal? Because there's no direct emolument violations. Foreign nationals can purchase digital assets. And it gives a question on if there's foreign influence there. And it's very possibly so. But for something to be illegal, you have to prove that that is the reason. You ever heard those saying, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove? And all the politicians do it, man. They all get rich once they get in office. A lot of them, like 90% of them. Even the great Barack Obama became a junior senator and started making millions. I mean, it happens. It happens. But Trump is getting rich. And you got to remember, out of all the politicians, the law exempts the president from conflict of interest laws. This is just, they are exempt from all those strict federal conflict of interest statutes. That and all the other federal branches have to abide by those strict conflict of interest laws. The president is exempt. This is how Trump is getting away with getting all this money. He's getting away with it so good that, hell, check him out.
To critics who say you're profiting off the presidency, Mr.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. If you have a 401k, how's your 401k done? It's about up 85%. Thank you, President Trump. So we're all profiting. I'm profiting because I have a lot of money and a lot of cash, and I give it to institutions. I don't know if they know what they're doing or not, but they buy a vast array of things.
You had a very lucrative year last year. What message does this send to average Americans, especially those who may be struggling right now financially?
I don't get involved in my personal. We have funds that run my money.
But you are benefiting.
Well, I've made a lot of money before I became president, and they invest my money, and I don't talk to them. I don't even speak to them. So I have many people. I don't know what they call it, closed accounts or something. You put your money in, and that's it. I don't talk to them. They're big institutions, and they run it. But yeah, I've had a great career. In business, I've had a great career.
Concerns about conflict of interest?
I don't know if
I've
I've had a better career in politics or business, but I had a great career in business. And, you saw the cash, and you report the different things. And what they do is, we gave it, I think it's called the blind account, but they take it. And I never speak to any of the people that run the money, but they're at big institutions, and they invest in whatever they invest.
But to critics who say you're profiting off the presidency, Mr.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up.
So there you have it. He don't even deny it. He's like, hell, he feels like he's doing so good as president. Stock market's going up, 401ks is going up. You're making money, so should I. This is who y'all got, man. And then, even worse than that, with the shit going on in Iran, now Trump wanting to sanction Russia and give weaponry to Ukraine to bomb them. Trump just ordered 2 nuclear submarines to Russia because he's at it with the ex-Russian leader Medvedev. When several years ago, when Putin had to give up his seat for a little while, he gave it to Medvedev, got it back. Putin never was out of power. It's just a thing. But yeah, real quick. In a warning to Russia, President Donald Trump said Friday he's ordering the repositioning of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines based on the highly provocative statements of the country's former president, Dmitry Medvedev, who has raised the prospect of war online. Trump posted on his social media site that based on the highly provocative statements from Medvedev, he had ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish, inflammatory statements are more than just that. The president added, words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will be one of those. I hope this will not be one of those instances. It wasn't clear what impact Trump's orders would have on U.S. nuclear subs, which are routinely on patrol in the world's hotspots, which they are. We got nuclear subs floating all around, and nobody knows where they're at any place in time. There's like 8 or 10 of them, all in the oceans, all around the world. That's what makes us so hard to. That's really what protects us, because our submarines can come up and drop nukes anywhere, and we're protected by our 2 oceans. So it kind of makes attacking us easy and attacking us hard and attacking them much easier, because all we got to do is route our submarines because they're floating all around them countries. But it wasn't clear what impact Trump's ordered would have on U.S. nuclear subs, which are routinely on patrol in the world's hotspots, but it comes at a delicate moment in the Trump administration's relations with Moscow. Trump said later Friday that he was alarmed by Medvedev's attitude. He's got a fresh mouth, Trump said in an interview with Newsmark. Remember that, man? Hey, yo, man, you gonna stop all that fresh talking? Trump has said the special envoy, Stevie Witkoff, is heading to Russia to push Moscow to agree to a ceasefire in its war with Ukraine, and has threatened new economic sanctions if progress is not made. He has cut his 50-day deadline for action to 10 days, with that window set to expire next week. The post about the sub repositioning came after Trump, in the wee hours of Thursday morning, had posted that Medvedev was a failed former president of Russia and warned him to watch his words. Medvedev responded hours later by writing, "Russia is right on everything and will continue to go on its way." And the back and forth started earlier this week when Medvedev wrote, "Trump's playing the ultimate game with Russia, 50 days or 10, and added, he should remember 2 things. 1, Russia is not Israel or Iran. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country." Asked as he was leaving the White House on Friday evening for a weekend at his estate in New Jersey about where he was repositioning the subs, Trump didn't offer any specifics. Of course he wouldn't. "We had to do that. We just have to be careful," he said. "A threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful." Trump also said, "I do that on the basis of safety for our people. and we're going to protect our people. He later added of Medvedev, he was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, Trump said, and we're totally prepared. He told Newsmax that the submarines were being moved closer to Russia. Medvedev was Russia's president from 2008 to 2012, while Vladimir Putin was barred from seeking a third consecutive term and then stepped aside to let him run again. Now deputy chairman of Russia's National Security Council, which Putin chairs, Medvedev has been known for his provocative and inflammatory statements since the start of the war in 2022. That's a U-turn from his presidency, when he was seen as liberal and progressive. Medvedev had frequently wielded nuclear threats and lobbed insults at Western leaders on social media. Some observers have argued that with his extravagant rhetoric, Medvedev is seeking to score political points with Putin and Russian military hawks. On such examples before, the latest spat with Trump came on July 15th, after Trump, I think that meant to say June 15th, after Trump announced plans to supply Ukraine with more weapons via its NATO allies and threatened additional tariffs against Moscow. Medvedev posted then, Trump issued a theoretical ultimatum to the Kremlin. The world shuddered, expecting the consequences. Belligerent Europe was disappointed. Russia didn't care. And that there comes straight from the Associated Press. So, wait a minute. Oh, well, no, they're doing this again. That's an article from last year. But they had just moved one Ohio style submarine towards Russia. And at another time, one carries like 12 warheads, and the other carries multiple warheads as well. And they're moving them to the coast of Russia. So, they're back at it again. And I just want to say, before we close here today, may everybody's thoughts go out to the people of Venezuela who just had a terrible earthquake. The death toll was rising last I seen. Yeah. And I'm going to bring y'all an update on this Russia nuclear thing going on here. Because it's possible that that might be last year's news. Matter of fact, let's just find out now. Let's see here. Yeah, that is new news. It could have been from last year. Because he said he's not Iran, it's not Israel, and that's what's going on now. I know, yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so yes, that's what's going on. And Donald Trump is not going to be a good, well, he's not going to be a good any fucking thing. I don't know what I was about to say, but he's definitely not going to be a good Cold War type president. Not at all. Not at all. Trump can't take an exchange of words, an exchange of hostile words, without feeling like he's got to go to war. You know, the Cold War really has never ended. But if it starts back up, Donald Trump will be the one to turn it into a war. And I really believe that. But there we have it today, y'all, man. There's so much going on, man. It's just so hard to report these politics. It really is. But I'm really starting to pull for the far left, man. I hope they get in here and just change this shit up. They need to do it. And I believe now is a time when they can start winning. And I do not want to see Jasmine Crockett ending her political career, because we need her. We need a lot of this young blood to come in here and be more responsible and be more empathetic and have more compassion and just a human element, and get this white supremacy back at bay. Go lay dormant where you were. As always, this is an episode of This Is Politics with Lucifari Bira.